It's election eve in Virginia. The Commonwealth will make history with its first female governor.
Virginians deserve a governor with a plan to work every day to lower costs for Virginia families.
We want to make sure that all the successes that we've had will continue, and they will continue with me as governor.
We're breaking down the latest polls and hearing from experts. And we're talking to the candidates running for local offices on the ballot here in Hampton Roads. Thanks for joining us for this 13 News Now special on Election Eve. I'm Janet Roach.
And I'm Dana Smith. Virginia is one of only 2 states electing a governor in 2025, along with New Jersey. Lieutenant governor and attorney general are also on the ballot, as are all 100 seats in the House of Delegates.
Yeah, there are also several local races we're keeping an eye on. But first today, a new poll from Emerson College shows Democratic nominee for governor Abigail Spanberger leading Republican nominee and lieutenant governor Winsome Earl-Sears by 11 points. The poll conducted October 30th and 31st shows Spanberger with 55% support among voters and those who have already cast ballots, compared to 44% for Earl-Sears. In the Attorney General's race, Democrat Jay Jones holds a narrow 49 to 47% edge over Republican incumbent Jason Miyares.
The candidates are making their final push ahead of Election Day. The statewide Republican ticket will be in Virginia Beach just hours from now. Winsome Earl-Sears, John Reed, and Jason Miyares will rally with Governor Glenn Youngkin at Regent University. This morning, the group made an informal campaign stop at Shorty's Diner in Richmond. In addition to tonight's Virginia Beach event, they'll also have a closing rally in Manassas. The GOP ticket and Governor Youngkin were in Hanover County last night, wrapping up a busy last weekend of campaigning. They spoke about crime, schools, and keeping taxes down, including more talks about eliminating the car tax.
Making sure that you keep as much of your own money in your pocket as possible. You worked hard for it.
I'm not here to destroy the public schools. I am here to fix them. I promised you, Virginia, that it was going to take this office and focus on going after repeat violent offenders, and we did.
Again, the Republican ticket will be at Regent University at 5 o'clock tonight.
Abigail Spanberger is making several stops in Virginia today. This morning, she was in Henrico, knocking on doors to get out the vote. And on Saturday, the Democratic ticket of Spanberger, Lieutenant Governor nominee Gonzala Hashmi, and Attorney General nominee Jay Jones were at Chartway Arena in Norfolk with former President Barack Obama.
I'm running for Attorney General to put Virginia first. To make sure that we protect our pocketbooks, that we protect our health care access.
We need a lieutenant governor who is going to stand up, not stand against health care. I will always stand up for Virginia families. I will always work to grow our economy, and I will always put Virginia, not a president, not a party, first.
Comes up.
Former President Barack Obama closed out the rally by highlighting Spanberger's record, saying she will do the right thing as governor.
We need leaders who won't serve bosses in Washington or big corporate donors, but instead will serve the people who put them there.
This event was former President Obama's first political rally in Hampton Roads since 2012. Well, polls have shown Spanberger with a significant lead over Earl-Sears, but some have tightened slightly.
Alex Littlehales reports on where voter sentiment stands as the campaign cycle comes to a close.
Home stretch before voters pick Virginia's first female governor, no matter who comes out ahead. At least one recent poll shows the race tightening slightly in the weeks after the only gubernatorial debate in Norfolk.
It took you
providing the comments that are advocating.
Still, the former Democratic congresswoman has never lost a significant polling lead over the Republican lieutenant governor. Some political forecasters believe a double-digit percentage win is still on the table.
Spanberger has made the cost of living the focus of her campaign, whereas Sears, I believe, has made the focus of her campaign on transgender issues.
Chaz Nuttycombe is an independent forecaster who created the State Navigate modeling organization. The Virginia Tech grad and his team recently polled roughly 700 likely Virginia voters. In their poll, Spanberger led by 13 points, one of several political analysts that has noted Spanberger's ability to resonate with voters across the aisle.
Spanberger is doing a much better job on persuasion of winning over independents, even Trump voters. And one of the things that was really interesting in the poll is that Spanberger has large gains with Trump voters who are of low income.
But there is still time for voters to decide which campaign message resonates best with Virginia's future. For Spanberger, a campaign that argued for stability under the Trump administration.
To focus on issues of affordability, lowering costs in housing, healthcare, and energy, when we have leadership in Washington passing bills that will raise prices in housing, energy, and healthcare, it makes the stakes of this race that much bigger.
And for Earl Sears, a campaign focused on issues that have appealed to the Republican base, like transgender rights and immigration reform.
She will refuse to protect our girls in Title IX, which is simply, an opportunity for girls to have their safe space.
Reporting, Alex Littlehales for 13 News Now.
Controversy has swirled in the race for Attorney General. Incumbent Jason Miyares is running for re-election against Democrat Jay Jones, a former delegate. In 2022, text messages from Jones suggested, among other things, that a prominent Republican lawmaker get, quote, 2 bullets to the head. Brianna Fallon spoke with both Jones and Miyares.
These two candidates are asking for your vote to be Virginia's Attorney General.
We need an attorney general who's going to be a fighter, who's going to put Virginia first.
We're really proud of our record as the people's protector.
Incumbent Republican Jason Miyares has a background in fighting crime. Before becoming Virginia's Attorney General, Miyares started his career as a prosecutor in the Virginia Beach Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, working alongside police to keep the community safe.
I'm a proven prosecutor. I'm not a politician. I'm not looking to turn this office into a political office. My office has been about protecting Virginians, and that means all Virginians.
Miyares also served in the Virginia House of Delegates, along with his current challenger, Democrat Jay Jones. Miyares claims his opponent is strictly a politician who is not fit for the role after it was revealed Jones sent violent text messages regarding political opponents and their families. However, Jones argues he was held accountable for his actions. If elected, he says he will hold the Trump administration to the same standards.
But they want an attorney general who's going to step up and protect us from the chaos and the excess and overreach of the Trump administration. We want to make sure we hold the administration accountable. People stand to lose Medicaid and they get yanked off of the healthcare rolls. Insurance premiums stand to skyrocket.
That's not all Jones plans to do. As Attorney General, Jones says he would start a dedicated drug trafficking unit and a child safety unit to keep Virginians safe.
I have 2 young children. I have every vested interest in making sure that they grow up in a safe Virginia. And so we want to make sure we're keeping them safe from predators, abusers, traffickers, and the threats that we see online.
But through several lawsuits and violent crime initiatives, such as Operation Ceasefire, Miyares claims his office is already working on those issues and seeing positive results.
My job is to make sure repeat violent offenders are off the streets, fentanyl dealers are off the streets, you and your family are protected.
Brianna Fallon, 13 News Now.
And we have some important information for Newport News voters. If you live within the South Morrison precinct, your polling place has changed tomorrow. Ivy Farms Community of Faith Church has been condemned due to an accident. The new location for voting will be the South Morrison Family Education Center, formerly South Morrison Elementary School, and that's at 746 Adams Drive. Polls are open from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. tomorrow. If you haven't voted yet, you can get the 13 News Now voter guide sent to your phone. Just text the word VOTE to 757-628-6200 and we'll send you a link.
Still to come, digging into another statewide race. Hear from the candidates for lieutenant governor, and a political analyst breaks down the polling. And later, the office of sheriff will be on the ballot in several cities. We break down the race in Chesapeake, where the incumbent has launched a write-in campaign.
This election features some of the state's most diverse races in history. History will be made in the governor's race and also the lieutenant governor's race.
That's right. Virginia will elect either the first openly gay statewide candidate or the first Muslim American woman. Emily Harrison has more from both candidates.
To be the next lieutenant governor, we have Democrat Ghazala Hashmi and Republican John Reed. Both hold staunchly different partisan views.
She's the one pushing for boys and girls sports. Even as a gay man, I can tell you, I think that crosses the line.
John Reed actually wants to close public schools. He wants to use our taxpayer dollars to fund for-profit charter schools.
An educator for nearly 30 years, State Senator Ghazala Hashmi has strong opinions when it comes to public schools. Hashmi is the chair of the Senate Education and Health Committee and has served in Richmond as a lawmaker since 2019. The senator says her voting record proves she's done the work to protect democracy and health care access.
While I wrote the plan for protecting Medicaid in Virginia, John Reed supports a bill that will rip away health care coverage for over 300,000 Virginians.
Republican candidate John Reed disagrees, saying Hashmi's policies would only hurt Virginians. A former television news anchor and lifelong Virginian, Reed says he brings conservative values to Richmond. Reed promised to fight for law enforcement officers, protecting the culture of Virginia and preserving the right to work.
I think we are on the verge of making bad decisions, repealing the right to work, forcing people into unions, taking money out of their paychecks. That will kill our economic ecosystem in Virginia. We can't afford to let that happen.
A point of contention in this race is the lack of an in-person debate. It is the only statewide race that has not had one. While Reed says he would do it at any time or place, Senator Hashmi says she is busy on the campaign trail.
To me, if you're going to run for statewide office, you have to do the debate. And she's the only statewide candidate who has refused to debate.
I have actually spent 19 months actively on the campaign trail. John Reed's accusations are truly rich. You know, they're coming from someone who has actually been hiding from his own extremist positions.
Both Hashmi and Reed say they hope to have your vote on Election Day, November 4th. Emily Harrison, 13 News Now.
We spoke with Old Dominion University political science professor Dr. Jesse Richmond today on Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. He broke down the numbers so far in the lieutenant governor's race.
I think Virginians have tended not to engage with it very much. Hashmi hasn't run a very good campaign. She outraised Reed about 6-1 or something like that, lots more money. But she hasn't really made much effective use of it, it would seem. Her messaging hasn't cut through. A lot of Virginians remain somewhat undecided about that race, which may end up defaulting to party loyalties, which might, if Spanberger does well, that might pull Hashmi through. But interestingly, the polling on Reed-Hashmi seems to have paralleled much more closely the Jones-Miyares polling than the Spanberger Earl Sears polling. And so I'm not quite sure why that race has followed the Attorney General race in terms of the polling, but it's tended to do that. And what that suggests is that Reed may have a real possibility, a real prospect of having a good night. We'll see how the final round of voting goes. We'll see who turns out. But that race seems close.
And it's a good reminder of the history.
That was on Live Impact News this morning. We'll have more political analysts tomorrow and Wednesday. Watch from 10 a.m. to noon and 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. every weekday on 13 News Now Plus. Just download on your TV to watch for free.
Virginia Beach voters will finally decide how their city council members are elected. We break down what a yes or no vote means in tomorrow's referendum. And we're drying out after a wet morning. Up next, a look at your Election Day forecast.
It was a rainy morning, but we're drying out across Hampton Roads.
Yeah, it's looking dry for Election Day, but you probably want to bundle up in the morning. Meteorologist Evan Stewart is here now with the forecast.
Yeah, you can see on some of those sky view cameras still some clouds lingering across extreme eastern Virginia and North Carolina as this coastal low continues to work its way eastward, but that back edge of the clouds continues to make its way closer to Hampton Roads, and we'll see gradual clearing here over the next couple of hours. But as we take a look at the wider picture, not much out towards our west. We have a little bit of a cold front that'll swing through here a little bit later on this week, but notice no storm systems and hardly any clouds except right over the mountains, and that's why we're going to see a lot of sunshine into the day tomorrow. So your Election Day forecast, starting out in the morning, temperatures in the 40s. Notice a lot of sunshine and a little bit of a chilly start to the day. Up to 61 by midday, and we should see a high temperature of 62 into the afternoon with lots of sunshine. Just a couple of clouds as we head towards 7 o'clock. And again, don't forget, Virginia polls close at 7. North Carolina polls close at 7:30. But again, lots of sunshine tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, it's a fight we've been following for years in Hampton Roads' biggest city. Virginia Beach voters will finally decide how their city council members are elected.
This year's ballot has a referendum on the voting system. Ashley Smith shows us what a yes or no vote means and the voices driving both sides.
You've seen the signs, watched the rallies, town halls, and meetings.
The city has now held 2 illegal elections, one in 2022 and the other in 2024.
10-1 system is the best I've seen since I've been here, because it's not just about folks of color having a seat on the podium. It's about accountability as well.
Now it comes down to your ballot. A yes vote keeps the 10-1 system, 10 district seats, and a mayor elected citywide. A no vote supports the modified 7-3-1, 7 district seats, plus 3 at-large members and the mayor. Virginia Beach used 10-1 in 2022 and 2024 after a federal court ruled the old all-at-large system diluted minority voting power. But the city charter still lists the 7-3-1 system, and a 2021 state law now requires district representatives to be elected only by voters in their districts. That legal mismatch triggered new lawsuits.
The city clearly exceeded their authority to abolish the 3 at-large seats that are guaranteed to the citizens in the city charter.
Plus public meetings and community forums.
I need to choose someone from my district.
Leading to this referendum. Proponents of 10-1 say it keeps council members focused on the people who elect them and the concerns where they live.
We don't need 4 mayors. That's what the 7-3-1 system would give us. We have, and we need to keep, a 10-1 system where you know who to call if there's an issue in your neighborhood.
7-3-1 supporters say the system gives the whole city a voice on big decisions and economic growth.
On city council, you need to have more than just one vote to get anything done. There's a check and balance of what the mayor is doing. There's a check and balance of businesses.
The city has also hosted information sessions aimed at clearing confusion before Election Day.
Our goal is really to make residents feel comfortable, that they understand what the issue is, and they feel confident to make a decision for themselves.
I'm reading more, I'm learning more about it, and all I want to see is the right thing done for the right people.
If yes wins, the city will send a charter change to the General Assembly. If no wins, City Council would move toward implementing the modified 7-3-1 system. Meanwhile, related court challenges continue in the background.
100% for the referendum because it's the law. And if the 10-1 system wins, I'm good with it. Will I vote for it? I'm not sure.
Ashley Smith, 13 News Now.
Up next, we're taking a look at several sheriff's races across Hampton Roads, including one of the most talked about in Chesapeake. And we'll also hear from all 3 sheriff candidates on the ballot in Suffolk. Welcome back to our 13 News Now Election Eve special. We're taking a look at the national races and local Hampton Roads races.
Yeah, one of the most talked about is the Chesapeake Sheriff's race. Emily Harrison sat down with both candidates after an unusual start on primary night.
To be the next sheriff for the city of Chesapeake, we have incumbent Dave Rosado, who has launched a write-in campaign following a primary loss to Republican challenger Wallace Chadwick.
I will be your next sheriff.
That's what Wallace Chadwick told his supporters on primary night after he won the Republican nomination by more than 15 points. But the incumbent sheriff Dave Rosado never conceded and later released this statement saying what happened that night was unfair because only Republicans could vote.
The night of the primary opened my eyes to all the support. It was an outpouring of support of people telling me, hey, don't give up.
Instead, Rosado launched a write-in campaign highlighting his 20 years of experience with Chesapeake Sheriff's Office. A husband, father, and mental health advocate, Rosado says he wants to continue his tireless work by expanding inmate reentry programs and adding more school resource officers.
We're going in the right direction under my leadership. My heart's the same, the vision is the same, making sure that Chesapeake is a safe city. That's what I do. That's who I am.
But Republican candidate Wallace Chadwick says there's a reason Rosado lost on primary night.
His expectations were, this is my job and it's my right to have this job. I don't believe in that. And now he's telling people that it was an unfair process.
Now Chadwick says he hopes to change the culture and direction of Chesapeake Sheriff's Office. A police officer with more than 20 years of experience, Chadwick says his children are his proudest achievements, and he wants to invest in the city's youth and even started his own nonprofit.
Experience does matter, but again, it's the right experience. As a CEO of a nonprofit, I've dealt with the community. I've dealt with the law enforcement community, and I know how to get programs started. I know how to do those things. I know how to put the money into those programs where they belong.
And both tell 13 News Now they hope to have your vote on November 4th. Emily Harrison, 13 News Now.
Now, on the Chesapeake ballot, voters will have the choice to either fill in the bubble for Wallace Chadwick or write in Dave Rosado's name. Under Virginia law, a candidate's name can be reasonably misspelled so long as the voter's intent is reasonably clear.
Along with Chesapeake, several other Hampton Roads cities are electing a sheriff tomorrow. In Virginia Beach, voters will choose between incumbent Sheriff Rocky Holcomb or challenger Peacemaker Aldo. Brianna Fallon has details.
This November, two familiar faces are on the ballot for Virginia Beach Sheriff.
I've been a deputy sheriff more than half of my life.
I bring an outside perspective in.
Incumbent Sheriff Rocky Holcomb will face challenger Peacemaker Aldo for a second year in a row. As a small business owner, Aldo says accountability is key. If elected, he says he would start initiatives to create more transparency in the courthouse, including allowing cell phones past security.
We need transparency in our system to restore accountability.
Aldo admits he has no law enforcement experience and was incarcerated before, but he tells 13 News Now he was involved in the process to become a deputy in 2022.
There was nothing wrong with me. It was the system didn't want what I was about inside the system.
On the contrary, with more than 30 years of experience in the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office, incumbent Sheriff Rocky Holcomb says law enforcement experience matters.
I understand the needs of the sheriff's office and the needs of the community and how to balance those two together.
During his time in office, Holcomb started several initiatives, including inmate reentry programs to curb recidivism and a consumer protection unit to protect people from scams. If re-elected, Holcomb says he would like to expand and continue these initiatives while staying transparent and accountable.
Transparency, respect, unity, service, and training. We uphold those pillars in the community each and every day, and I'm proud to lead the men and women of the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office.
Brianna Fallon, 13 News Now.
Newport News is also electing a sheriff, with Francis Jacobson running against incumbent Gabe Morgan. Madison Schlegel spoke with the candidates.
Running to be the next sheriff, we have incumbent Democrat Gabe Morgan and independent Francis Jacobson.
Morgan has served as sheriff in Newport News since 2006. While in office, Morgan says he's taken strides in reducing recidivism and addressing mental health.
We have worked tirelessly to change that situation, and we have become a leader throughout the Commonwealth and nationally in many of our innovations.
Recidivism and mental health are key aspects independent Francis Jacobson tells 13 News Now he's invested in, but Jacobson, a former Newport News deputy sheriff, says if elected, he would put his emphasis on the youth in Newport News.
I want to rehabilitate them with the right mindsets, empowerment. I want to empower every young citizen in the city of Newport News to be gainfully employed.
Sheriff Morgan says the Newport News Sheriff's Office already has a hand in youth programs across the city. Morgan says if elected, he would address the growing elderly community and overcrowding at the Newport News jail.
More space is needed, and more space designed to deal with mental health, with the emerging medical of an aging population.
But Jacobson argues the current facility isn't the issue and more the technology inside the facility that needs to change.
My goal is not to have new jail. My goal is to remodernize the jail and introduce new technology to lessen the burden and the pressure my deputies do have.
Jacobson says he's looking to follow in the steps of younger leaders like Newport News Mayor Philip Jones.
As you can see, we have a young mayor in the city of Newport News. Many young people are inspired to be great in life. We now need a young sheriff that will help with the job.
On the other hand, Morgan worries what he says a lack of experience in his opponent could do to the Newport News Sheriff's Office.
You look at some of these secretary levels, and they don't have the experience to run the agency. They don't understand the fundamental differences. So we end up with chaos. We end up with instability.
Madison Schlegel, 13 News Now.
In Suffolk, there are 3 candidates running for sheriff. It's incumbent David Miles facing Isafu Bubakar and Dan Summerall. Alex Littlehale spoke with the candidates.
There are 3 names voters will see on the ballot for Suffolk Sheriff. All 3 candidates have either local law enforcement or military experience. David Miles is actually Suffolk's current sheriff running for re-election. Miles has 10 years with the sheriff's office under his belt. He actually took over after the retirement of the former sheriff in 2024. Miles tells 13 News Now he has prioritized community outreach since his time in a leadership position.
So we realize that a lot of our senior community don't realize what resources are available here in Suffolk. So we brought together the first 2 years, over 40 vendors with services specific to our senior community, not vendors selling things, but actually services specific to our senior community.
Miles has 2 challengers, the first being Isafu Bubakar. He is a sergeant with the Norfolk Police Department and a U.S. Army Reserve captain. He wants to expand the role of the sheriff's office to establish a citizen advisory board and put deputies in schools.
And I'm going to start with the elementary school. We have 11 elementary schools, and these are issues that are very important to parents. I've been knocking on doors talking to parents, and this is something that resonates with them. So I want to hire 11 deputy sheriffs that we're going to put them in the elementary school.
So right now, the sheriff's office in Suffolk has 2 primary responsibilities, keeping order in the court system and civil enforcement. The third candidate for sheriff, Dan Summerall, also wants to expand the role of the sheriff's office. Summerall, too, wants to add and fund additional deputies for local schools and establish a small traffic enforcement unit. He is a sergeant with Veterans Affairs Police in Hampton.
While I've lived in the city, we put in about 40,000 more residents. We're up to about 106,000 roughly now, and we're continuing to grow. So our police department's short-staffed. To be quite frank, SRO or school resource deputies, SRD, is more suited to the sheriff's office than it is to a police department in reality, because police officers are there to answer calls. You call, they come. Our job is more community-based.
According to UVA research, the city of Suffolk is one of the top 5 fastest-growing cities in the state of Virginia. Reporting, Alex Littlehales for 13 News Now.
We have one more sheriff's race to look at. We'll hear from candidates in Portsmouth coming up next. All right, back down to our local sheriff races and the city of Portsmouth.
Incumbent Michael Moore is being challenged by Jim Cullen. Madison Schlegel sat down with both candidates.
In the race for the next sheriff of Portsmouth, we have Sheriff Michael Moore, who's running as a Democrat, and we've got Jim Cullen, who's running as an independent. Sheriff Moore was first elected in 2017. During his time, he says he's focused on employee pay, crime reduction, reallocating the jail, and ending the contract with the Hampton Roads Regional Jail. Through the office's community programs, he says he's gotten to learn about each demographic across Portsmouth.
All age groups, from that very, very young to the senior program we have, but in between that are the people that are incarcerated. So what do we do to facilitate a better life for them leaving than what they were when they came into our custody?
Community focus is opponent Jim Cullen's biggest emphasis. Cullen is a decorated military veteran who, in response to the 9/11 terrorist attack, worked as a chief of police for the U.S. Coast Guard in New York and in New Jersey. In April of this year, Cullen and his wife were honored as first citizens of Portsmouth by the Portsmouth Service League for their community contributions.
From spending time in Portsmouth, I said, wow, this is exactly like the city where I used to do foot patrol and bike patrol back in New Jersey. and it has a lot of the same issues and problems, and I really feel like I could bring some of that experience to bear.
Cullen says if elected, he would lean on volunteer services for the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office. He says it's worked in areas like revitalizing the Portsmouth Farmers Market. But Sheriff Moore says the Sheriff's Office relying on volunteers isn't fully covered by the city.
Liability is a huge, huge issue. So I take offense to when I hear that constantly being said, and I've tried to straighten that out face to face. Look, this is a liability issue. It's not a fact that we don't want volunteers to help out. It's just that they can't help out in certain aspects of law enforcement.
But Cullen counters that if the Sheriff's Office has more volunteers, then it would free up more police officers to patrol the streets of Portsmouth.
There's the opportunity to do more, and there's the opportunity to partner more with the police department. So right off the bat, I intend to put patrols back on the street in concert with, in partnership with the police department.
Sheriff Moore says the senior community in Portsmouth has been his biggest supporter. As for Cullen, he says his campaign is grassroots and is completely self-funded. Madison Schlegel, 13 News Now.
Staying in Portsmouth, voters will also elect a Commonwealth's attorney. Incumbent Stephanie Morales is running against two challengers, Nathan Chapman and Steve Heretic. Brianna Fallon has more.
This election day, 3 names are on the ballot for Portsmouth Commonwealth's attorney.
My goal has been not just to work on what we do in the courtroom, but to a holistic approach on prosecution.
With 10 years in office, Portsmouth Commonwealth's attorney Stephanie Morales is looking to serve another term. During her time in office, Morales created initiatives such as her Control-Alt-Delete program, aiming to bring justice to Portsmouth while reducing recidivism.
We want to engage even more in ensuring that our community members feel safe so that we can get the good results and the justice that we have.
But challenger Steve Heretic disagrees with Morales. He says Portsmouth is not receiving the justice it deserves.
The office is simply fallen down in terms of its ability to present cases.
Heretic has more than 30 years of legal experience. He says while Portsmouth is a lovely place he calls home, there is a gun violence issue. That's why as Portsmouth Commonwealth's attorney, Heretic says he would focus on public safety by rebuilding trust and curbing gun violence.
If you commit an offense involving a weapon, involving a firearm, I will make sure that my office, again, doesn't make any deals with you, resist any bond, keeps you off the streets as long as we humanly can.
Heretic and challenger Nathan Chapman can agree on one thing, their belief that the Portsmouth Commonwealth's attorney's office needs rebuilding.
So the current staff is severely overworked, overwhelmed, and stressed out. We need to fill the office back up with competent attorneys at each range.
Chapman says with 50 jury trials under his belt, he's ready to make a change in the office. If elected, he says he would work on creating more initiatives for mental health while putting the community's safety first.
Safety has to be paramount, and safety comes and lays right on the desk of the Commonwealth's attorney.
Brianna Fallon, 13 News Now.
We're tracking more Commonwealth's attorneys' races in Hampton Roads. Up next, the candidates in Chesapeake tell us why they should be elected. Accusations are flying back and forth in the race for Chesapeake Commonwealth's attorney.
Democrat Matt Hamill is running for re-election. Republican David Mick wants to unseat him.
Matt Hamill likes his job.
Oh, I love being the Commonwealth's attorney.
The former Navy prosecutor got elected as Chesapeake's top prosecutor during the pandemic.
We had about 7,000 backlog felonies that we needed to work through in addition to the ongoing cases that were coming in. And so I'm very proud of how we built a team in that first year.
And now seeking a second term, the Democrat says he wants to build on his successes that include the Elder Abuse Task Force and creating what he says is the second largest drug court and behavioral health docket in the state.
For nonviolent offenders, I believe there should be a mechanism to divert people outside of the criminal justice system to deal with the underlying problems. We can treat the symptoms all day long, but if we don't treat the underlying problems, people are just going to keep reoffending.
I believe Chesapeake deserves better.
Running against Hamill is Republican David Mick, a former prosecutor under Hamill in the Commonwealth's attorney's office, who says he's better for the job and questions Hamill's experience.
He's the only elected Commonwealth's attorney in Hampton Roads that's never tried a murder case.
Although violent crime overall is down in Chesapeake, Mick claims juvenile offenders are not being held accountable. Part of the problem, he says, is lack of community outreach.
They simply don't do that anymore. And that's why you see a rise in juvenile crime and juvenile violence in our city. It's because they're not doing the outreach. And if you don't do the outreach, you don't get the results from that outreach. And that's what I will do. I will hold violent criminals accountable, and I will expand outreach to reduce crime before it happens.
Hamill hits back and says when Mick worked in the office, he had a 0% conviction rate in juvenile cases involving weapons, a claim Mick says is patently false. On experience, Hamill says every homicide case is tried under his supervision. He adds he spent 25 years as a Navy JAG officer, Commonwealth's attorney, and public servant. Mick credits his work in the Attorney General's office.
Criminal litigation, appellate work, cold cases, special investigations, writs of actual innocence. I'm running because we deserve better.
I'm very proud of how we partner with law enforcement, how we hold people accountable, especially for even things like probation violations and things of that nature. That is how we play a key role in seeking justice.
And Hamill says Chesapeake remains one of the safest cities in America, while Mick says Hamill's plea deals make the city less safe.
Virginia Beach voters will also elect a Commonwealth's attorney. Colin Stolley is running for re-election against challenger Suzanne Seidel-Richmond. Emily Harrison has a closer look.
To be Virginia Beach's next Commonwealth attorney, we have incumbent Republican Colin Stolley and Democrat Suzanne Seidel-Richmond. For Stolley, it's a job he's held for the past 12 years.
This is a job where you need to know what you're doing, not one where you learn on the fly.
Right now, Stolley manages a $20 million budget in the state's most populous city. Under his direction, Stolley says he's established alternative courts for drug and mental health cases, created the first peer-to-peer counseling program for attorneys, and has handled some of the most serious cases in the city. Stolley says his record speaks for itself.
I am extremely proud of this office. Virginia Beach routinely ranks as the safest city of its size in the country. I have the knowledge and the experience to do the job. I've been doing a good job, and I want to continue to do it for another 4 years.
But Democrat candidate Suzanne Seidel-Richmond disagrees.
Colin Stolley has no community presence in Virginia Beach. I plan to work for the people, not do MAGA bidding for Donald Trump.
Born and raised in Virginia Beach, Seidel-Richmond served as a public defender, a trial prosecutor, and as an appellate attorney for the Commonwealth. Seidel-Richmond says if elected, she wants to focus on prosecuting more gun cases. As she says, violence has increased dramatically across the city.
Cases keep getting continued. You need experienced prosecutors trying shooting cases. I spoke with someone who I ended up knocking on his door. He has a business at the oceanfront. He told me that business owners are now wearing bulletproof vests to work because the shooting has gotten so bad at the oceanfront.
Stolley says he has an attorney whose only job is to work gun-related cases like this, but Seidel-Richmond says more focus needs to be brought in preventing violence. Both are asking for your vote on Election Day. Emily Harrison, 13 News Now.
We have two more local races we're breaking down tonight on 13 News Now. At 4:30, the Suffolk Commonwealth's attorney's race, and at 5, the Newport News treasurer's race. Up next, knowing your rights as a voter as we approach Election Day. What to do if you run into an issue or forget your ID.
With many headed to the polls tomorrow, it's important to know what your voting rights are. So if you are not registered to vote, your name is not on the voter roll, or you forget an accepted form of ID, you can use a provisional ballot as long as you utilize the same-day registration process. Now, for those who are 65 and older or have a disability, you can have a ballot brought to your car instead of entering your polling place. And remember, as long as you are in line by 7 p.m., you are allowed to vote. A full list of rights can be found on the Virginia Department of Elections website under the Casting a Ballot tab. And we have a full voter guide that you can get sent to your phone. Just text the word VOTE to 757-628-6200, and we'll send you a link. And we'll have live coverage throughout election night on air, and we'll have extended coverage of live election results from 8 p.m. until 10 p.m. tomorrow on 13 News Now Plus. Download on your TV to watch for free. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in just a few minutes for 13 News Now at 4.